Hey guys, this is your girl Lira, and you're listening to Self Reflection Podcast. Thank you guys for joining me on another episode on Self Reflection Podcast. I pray and I hope that this podcast episode finds you guys in the best possible state that you could be in for yourself in today. And if you're not doing your best, I want to encourage you in this moment to create some time for self reflection. Like always, I am going to remind you that self reflection is amazing form you can use to heal yourself. You can use self reflection to find any answer that you are seeking for yourself in this moment. So, if you're not doing your best, I want to encourage you in this moment to practice self reflection. And whatever you're going through, if you cannot handle those emotions on your own, please reach out and get some support, right? Whether it's from friends, family members, or from a professional person. Thank you guys again for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. We are going to be having a conversation with Muba Raka today. I think this is going to be an eye-opener conversation for many of us, especially those that are in the US or in a Western country. So please help me welcome Mubaarakah. Hi, welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Mubaarakah Sawat, and I'm actually an advisor for financial advisor. And apart from that, so I'm actually an advocate for women empowerment, standing for anything that has to do with women empowerment, whether it has to do with equality, standing up for them, making sure their voices are being heard. Yes, that's what it should be.
Thank you so much for joining us and for wanting to share your story. Can you give us a little bit of background where you are coming from?
Okay. So I'm born in Ghana. I was raised in Ghana, the northern part of Ghana. That's Tamale. When I was a little bit around like 12 years old, I moved on to Accra. That's the capital of Ghana. And that's where I do study. I did all my high school as well as university and also working at the moment. Yes.
Yeah, Ghana is a hot place right now. With people coming there, tourism, and actually part of our team here is in Ghana. So, you're my family now. Thank you again, Mubaarakah, for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. I think your journey is just from knowing a little bit about you, your journey is inspiring. And I want to ask you, when did you start advocating for women and why?
Thank you very much for this question. I think I started advocating for women empowerment totally in everything that has to do with around 2023 there, when I was forcing married to someone that I never wanted to get married to. And that's when everything started. How it started was that in an African background, each and every time that like your dad or your parents wants to give you out for marriage, you have no say in that. It's either you accept it or the consequences is up to you for you to have to move out. And at that age too, I wasn't actually working. So it was actually really hard for me to stand up for myself, telling me that okay, this is actually the right thing for me to do at that moment. But fast forward, after a month into the marriage, I decided, okay, this isn't going to work for me. If I actually want to go in through with every single dream of mine that I want to bring into reality, I have to get out of this marriage. And also, not only getting out of this marriage, I'm also encouraging young people who also are facing similar challenges as mine as well. Yes, so that's how I started into the advocacy, advocating for men's rights, making sure that each and everyone's voice is being heard, and also by starting with my story. And I've realized that a lot of African women are actually facing this exact problem.
Mm, Arranged marriages, right? It's something that we think happened when our parents were, trying to get married, right? But arranged marriage is something that still happens up to today in Africa, right? And a lot of young girls, you got married when you were 22, but in Africa today, there are girls that are 12 years old getting married to men that are in their 30s, 40s, right? So Can you tell us a little bit more, like, why did your parents like push you to marry that early?
Has to start with the time that they will see that okay now a lot of my siblings are in there. We are growing up, looking at financial stability has to be a challenge. I think that's one reason that a lot of parents or African parents give out their child for marriage. They see that a lot of financial stability isn't working for them. And secondly, too, they feel like if the more that you educate yourself and go further in for more education, the more that you open yourself up. And at the end of the day, maybe if they don't give you out for marriage, you because of education and you learning a lot of how everything is going on, it would be very, very difficult for you to be submissive to your husband. Yes.
And your mother encouraged you to get married in this space as well, or was your mother against it?
That's actually a very, very important question. I've seen that my mom doesn't have a say when it comes to that. It was actually very devastating for me because I can quite remember when that happened. She was telling me that, okay, just follow in what your dad told you to do. Just follow in whatever that he's saying to do. Because at the end of the day, I don't also want to be pushed out of this marriage or maybe even get forced to him. But yes, so it is what I wanted to do. That isn't what I wanted to do. I have a lot of future going into my life. I have a lot of dreams I want to achieve. And looking at this marriage, just going into it, at the end of the day, it isn't going to help me with any bit. And it will be very, very difficult for me to actually sit down and feel like, okay, all of these dreams that I've put down for me to achieve, how am I going to achieve that if I'm really well, maybe if I'm putting in this box that I can't spread out my wings to do every single thing that I wanted.
I'm sorry to hear that your mother also had that fear of like losing her own marriage because, if she doesn't listen to your dad, right? Because in our African homes, the men are the head of the house, right? That's always how it's always been. And a lot of times the men make the majority of the decisions, especially when we're talking about a traditional African family, right? A lot of the men are the ones that make the final say or the final decision. Which is one thing that I really like applaud my dad for, not to even bring my dad in here. He's very like open and flexible when it comes down to like, making decisions in a lot of things, right? He's very flexible and like, okay, let's all see if everyone have a say, which I'm not sure how he ended up that way, but for an older guy, I applaud him for that. So can you tell us a little bit about like when the man, and how old was this man when you got married to him, and when he came to your house, how was that interaction like?
So how it started, I think he was around almost getting into his 30s when it happened. And also it was my dad who initiated the whole marriage thing. It was actually wasn't what I wanted. And he was like, do you have anyone at that moment? I never had anyone at that moment, but he was still pushing me, okay, if you don't have anyone at that moment, then I'm giving you out to this person. It's either you stay in that marriage or you will leave my home forever. And at that point in time, I don't have anywhere to go. So I was thinking, okay, should I just listen to what my dad's saying? So that would just be in this fulfilled marriage, or I just have to go and end up sleeping on the streets. That was actually a little bit thing that I have to actually work towards there. So after that time, I was like, okay, fine, let me just stay into the marriage and see what will happen after that.
How was the marriage when you were in the marriage? How was that? Was it supportive, abusive?
When it started, it wasn't something that I wanted. So initially, like a background story of how it happened is that I almost committed suicide when it happened. It was really that challenging for me. And after the marriage, when I go in there, I had a lot of sleepless nights. I couldn't even sleep at night because I can quite remember that same night that he wanted to even touch me, have like this kind of sexual interaction with me, but that never happened for me until like I left the marriage. So each and every single night was actually a very, very nightmare for me. I couldn't even sleep. And each and every night I always pray and be like, okay, what will happen the next day? I'm always praying for the next morning to happen. So that I'll be like, okay, at least I'm free.
So when you're going through this process and you're in the marriage, what is the man saying?
What he was saying was that I should just allow this to go on through. I should just listen to whatever my dad was saying. I can quite remember he was using this specific word. I should just compromise. So far as I compromise, allow this marriage to happen. I should just compromise to have sex with him. And I was saying that no matter how, even though I wasn't ready to get into this marriage with you, there's no way that I will compromise to have sex with you. And that isn't going to happen. So each and every night, even if sleeping on the same bed, I will secretly slow, maybe the time that he's asleep, I'll just put on a blanket on the floor to just lie down and sleep. It was so devastating for me. It was really hard because one time I can't remember, I even had to put in like something protective, like in mind for something, just in case something can happen in the middle of the night, I can protect myself. It was that crazy.
Did it ever get physical?
One time that I was having this a little bit of conflict within him that he wanted to abuse me of anything, but thankfully everything was in place, have to go in place, and nothing of such happened again. So yes, so yeah, it was. It's a little bit of abusive words here and there, talking to each other anyhow, but it wasn't actually a good thing, and I don't even wish for even my enemies to ever experience such thing again.
How did this impact your mental health? Because I know you just mentioned that you almost commit suicide. And I know getting pushed to get married at 22, at 22, I didn't even know what I wanted to eat for breakfast, right? I didn't even know, what I want for myself in life, right? And I can't even imagine like getting forced to get married to a person that I don't know, I don't like, and I don't want to, do it, right? So how did this whole thing impact your mental health?
Mental health was actually very, very thin. Like it's actually impacted my mental health negatively. I had lots of depression. I can even remember most times I even feel like, okay, just go into the sea and just drown yourself, kill yourself, just do things. So sometimes I even one particular time, or it happened multiple times, to the extent that I even feel like I don't even belong here. I just belong to like just going to the psychiatrist. That's where I belong. To just psychiatric wards or hospital. That's where I belong. I don't even belong to even like have to stay in here. It was too much for me each and every single day. I would cry out. I don't even know what I have to even do at some point in time. Yes. And my family were even helping. Because I can quite remember even my mom's side, when it happened, I left there. When I went there, they sacked me. They were like, okay, so far as you're not listening to your parents, then you can actually go and stay on the streets. That's how it was.
So even your family wasn't accepting you. How about, did you have friends that were supportive in this space, or your friends were also pushing you to get married?
Because I never wanted marriage, I never told a lot of like my close friends. So a lot of people didn't know about that. It was just a very, very close, or maybe like a family, a little bit of family in there that supported me. And I was having this one specific boyfriend or a very close relative with me that could encourage me with every single thing to tell me, okay, you just have to push through. It shall be war. But it wasn't getting any better. It was getting worse and worse each and every time, especially with extended family also not supporting you. A lot was going on. It wasn't actually something that I really, really wanted or even dream of having or maybe um, experiencing in my life here.
Yeah, and how is are you, are many other women's like, are you talking, so are you now talking to other young women about like getting out of, forced marriages? How are you supporting women in this space?
So mostly that I can do is that, or maybe one thing that I always say to young men is that I can't force you into whatever that you want to. Like if you are in forced marriage, for instance, are you actually happy being in that forced marriage? That's one thing that we have to. If you are happy, because a lot of people, of course, like they might end up in forced marriages, and at the end of the day, they will decide to just stay in. Or maybe at the end of the day, they're looking at the fact that okay, if I leave, what will happen to me? What will happen to me? How will I be abandoned by my family? And that's exactly what happened. Because to me, that's exactly what happened. As soon as I left, they'd be like, okay, so for us, you are gone, you are on your own. We don't know you anymore. So a lot of people are afraid of taking these chances to be like, okay, I have to speak for myself. I have to stand in for myself. And at the end of the day, when you do stand in for yourself, who is going to support you? Yes, that it was actually devastating, and yes, I'm sorry that I'm been getting emotional about it, but it is what it is. Yes.
No, don't be sorry, please. Like you have every right to get emotional. Like this is like, we're in 2025. Like people have rights these days. We know we have rights, especially for women, right? No one could force us to do anything. And that's the crazy part about Africa is that we are still living in this backward society for the most part, where, even when it comes down to marriages, people are still getting forced to, stay in a marriage, right? Like it can, like, of course I can like see it, right? Because I come from that tradition. I know, those type of things exist, right? But again, I cannot wrap my head around it, because if someone tell me like, hey, Lira, go get married, oh no, I'm fighting everybody. Like I don't fight, but everybody is getting a piece of my mind, right? So are you still talking to your family right now or no?
I started, I decided to cut off family. I'll be like, okay, now they're not supporting me anymore. What am I going to do? So at that time, so I wasn't even working, and my mom always encouraged me, be like, call them. They'd be like, I told her that okay, I was even telling her this that okay, these are the kind of people who did this and did that to me. Do we think it's still actually the best thing to even be communicative with them? And that's actually one thing about African parents. No matter what happens, they are still begging you, okay, so talk to them. It looks like you are more of the problem themselves rather than they being the problem. They'll be like, okay, no matter what happened, they are older than you still have to apologize, you still have to blend in, you still have to do all of these things. It wasn't cool with me. So I was like, okay, fine. If you are saying that I belong to the streets, that's fine. I'll do whatever that I have to do to succeed. And thankfully, I'm doing great now. I'm doing great now that I used to do at the beginning of everything. Yes.
Yeah, I see your stories, I see your like Instagram, and from a woman to another woman, I would say I'm so proud of you. I am inspired by your bravery. Like I'm inspired by your courage. Just to be able to say, like, stand up, like for your stand up for yourself and stand up against your parents, because like in our tradition, or in our culture, talking back to your parents is not a thing, right? And going against the will, it's a taboo, right? It's like you cannot do that. So to be able to choose your life and choose your mental health and choose your sanity, your freedom, the goals that you have for yourself, I'm so proud of you. And for you standing up for other women and young women that are behind you that are probably going through a similar situation, right? I literally don't have any words, but thank you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for what you're doing, because it's inspiring. This is something that we need to talk about in our African culture, in our African tradition, right? I get it. Like I'm a traditional girl and I love our tradition, but some things gotta change, right? Some things we have to move away from. And one of those things I think is arranged marriage, right? Especially if the girl is not into the marriage, right? Because like you said, some people might like the arranged marriage, but if the person is not into this person, we need to stop forcing young girls to, go into marriage, right? So Thank you again for sharing your journey with us. Thank you again for, being so brave. Like, I don't know, there's so many women, even in like the Western world, there's so many women that would stay in a marriage or home even when it's going south, and they choose to be there, right? So yeah, did you wanted to add something?
Thank you very much for also having me. Like, it's an honor to be able to share my journey with a lot of people. Because definitely just talking to you about this will inspire a lot of listeners to as well. Because I know a lot of people are facing this challenge, and it is time for you to stand in for yourself, even though it won't be easy as you think it will be. But definitely a lot of people are supportive. A lot of you meet a lot of friends and strangers that will actually open their arms to you, no matter how things go hard. Yes.
If there is a young girl that is looking to get out of a situation like this, how did you find yourself on your feet again after going through something like this? Like, if they're saying, okay, my family has abandoned me, or they said I cannot come back to our home, I have nowhere to go, how can they, you know, find their footing again in this space?
I would say first of all, start opening and having like a lot of platforms and engaging lots of people on even social media, even the people that you will meet. You never know how they can go to the stream to even help you and support you. Because when I was even facing this challenge, a lot of people that I never knew actually came to help me. Even I can quite remember one supervisor of mine was even opening her arms to be like, okay, you can come in and stay with me as long as you want to. And I can actually help you to find a job, to even make you to do all of these things. Even no matter how it's scary, definitely there is this one person who actually open up to you, who actually help you, who actually supports you. And you meet a lot of people, a lot of strangers who are kind, who are supportive to help you with every single challenge that you are having. So yes.
I have a couple more questions here for you. Sorry if I'm getting a little too intrusive in your story here. What do you have to tell African parents that are forcing their daughters to go get married, especially get married to a 40-year-old, 30-year-old man when they're still children, right? What do you have to tell those African parents? Because you have been in this place before.
First of all, even what I'm even about to say, when African parents even do hear it, they'll be like, wow, this girl's actually brave. But it is what it is. Listen to your children, listen to whatever they want to have, listen to their dreams, every single thing that they want to do, support them, encourage them, even if like it will actually take a lot of time for them to even get there. Support them. Don't just be like, okay, marriage is the final thing. So far as you are a woman, you have to get married. No, even though I know I have to get married, but at some point in time that you know, okay, this is what I stand in for. You should support me. You shouldn't be like, okay, it's either you follow what I'm saying or you go on your way. I'll sack you out of my house, or I will just allow you to do whatever that you want and maybe abandon you at the end of the day. It isn't actually the right thing for you to be. You bring them into the world. You have to support them. So it's a point that they'll be like, okay, yes, I can actually help. I can stand on my feet. I can actually do this. Because at the end of the day, when you push them into marriage, when they are out of it, it's been very, very hard for them to even call you a parent or even look up to you or even to even support you at the age that, or maybe at the time that you best needed their help. Yes.
For the men that are doing this arranged marriage, because I think if you're a man in today's society and you are going to a girl's father to ask the father for the hand in marriage, I think you're a little weird. Like, there's something wrong with, like, there's psychologically there's something not right with you, right? Because you are a 30, 40 or 50-year-old man going to ask for a teenager's hand in marriage through their parent. Like, you're a sick person in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, something is not right. And African men or men all over the world, like, that's something you got to see that is your problem, right? So for someone that has actually experienced this, what do you have to tell those men? I don't want to call them weirdos, but like, what do you have to tell those men that are going into this going into families to marry young women in the way that you did?
What advice I just give to them? Just don't go in for it. So far as they are not into you, don't try, because you are just going to destroy their future for them. You're not going to help them. At the end of the day, whatever that you're going to have to them for them, they are actually thinking that okay, it's better for me to, at the end of the day, for me to be like, okay, I'm out of the world, or probably just commit suicide for me to be okay with whatever is going on. Because what I was experiencing at that point in time, I felt like, okay, maybe if I'm out of this world, things would have been better. And you shouldn't be able to feel this way. You belong here. Definitely, no matter how challenging things are, lots of people are there, lots of older people are there. Why aren't you going in for them? And now you're chasing people who are very, very little, who have a lot of future ahead of them, who have things, a lot of aspirations that they need to achieve in the future. Why?
I agree with you 100%. It's like, why? There's so many women. There's twice as many women as men in this world. So it's like, why go after a young girl, a child, even sometimes, because we know child marriages happen, too. It's like, why go after kids in this way as a grown man, right? When you can pursue a grown adult woman that is, a similar age bracket and stuff like that, right? As we come close to our conversation here, right? When it comes on to your dad, are you going to like try to build, like, do you see yourself like having a relationship in the future with your father? Or no?
Okay, that's actually a hard question for me, because right now I have no contact with him. I don't talk to him. I don't say anything about him, and I think he has nothing to talk to me about. But I feel like no matter how things are going, at one point in he educated me, he put me on to all of the things that like right now I've passed through a lot of things in his hands, including going to university and all of these things. I'm really appreciative for that for him. But yes, so no matter what happened, please just apologize. Whatever that you did wasn't actually the right thing to do. And let's see what things will happen in the future. But it will actually take a long time for me to actually come back and be like, yes, let's talk about this. It's time for us to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Uh it's it's really sad what African parents are doing sometimes. I love our parents. I think, they try their best, right? They do everything to, like you said, your dad put you through university. They try their best. It's not easy, right? I understand that, but sometimes like something like this, when it comes down to, you know, your entire life, because when you get married, right, it's a forever thing. You're not getting married to go in and get out and go in and get out and go out. So when you are looking to get married, you want to get married to a partner that you like, you enjoy being around, right? You want to be around them. But when you get pushed into getting married, that's a whole different story, right? So for the young women out there that are either in this situation or might face, excuse me, might face similar situation in the future, what, I guess, encouraging words do you have for those young women?
One encouraging word I would tell them is that you are never alone in this. A lot of people have passed through there. When you open up to people, they will actually talk to you. Even myself, when I'm out of this, and a lot of people come to me, they'll be like, okay, this is what I've been facing. I've been facing this and this. I will just sit down, I will just sit them down, tell them, okay, it's not easy. No matter how it is, it's never easy, but you do have a lot of supportive people that will actually encourage you to do what you actually want to stand in for. And now we are in 2025. A lot of things are evolving. No matter what happens, people will encourage you. Stand in for yourself and defend what's right for you. Because at the end of the day, when you do or maybe get into this marriage, you're staying there forever. Your dreams and all of your aspirations has been shut down. So you have to make the decision for yourself. Is this what I want to see in the nearest future, or I have to change it as soon as possible?
Thank you for that. I appreciate you for that. And where did you find the courage to be able to, want to speak out the way that you're doing, right? And how did you find that courage? Because I know, with this space, a lot of shame comes with it, right? Shame from feeling as if you disappoint your family, as if you were not a good wife, you left your husband, right? Because those are all the things that Africans put on us, right? When, especially if you leave your husband's house, it's like, oh, you're not a good wife, you left your husband's house. But the situation was never a good one for you and was never healthy for your mental health. So where did you find the courage to want to leave and start sharing your story?
How I found my courage has to do with I would say it has to do with my future dreams. I have a lot of things. One thing that I have to even do is like wanting to even become a lawyer, and a whole lot of things that I have in place that I want to achieve. So now I'm just sitting down and asking myself this question, okay, if I want to, I have a lot of plans like things that I want to achieve in future. And do you think that the things that right now that I'm even put in for this marriage, will it actually have an impact in whatever that I'm going to do, or I just have to stand in for myself? And one thing too is that I came out from an African family that a lot of things, a lot of decisions are being taken by your parents. You don't actually have a say in it. Each and every single time, I always listen to them. But this is the time that I have to listen to myself. I have to stand in for myself to tell myself, okay, this is my life, this is my future. How am I going to change it? Am I just going to listen to them for the rest of my life, or have to make that decision for myself? At the end of the day, even if they put me in the marriage, I'm the one going to stay in the marriage, not them. So I have to make that decision for myself. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud of you. Like, you have no idea. I am so proud of you. I'm proud of you. I admire your strength. I admire your spirit. I admire your courage. You are doing this for so many women that have been through, arranged marriage and couldn't find the strength to get out of it. You're doing this for so many women that have been through arranged marriages, and young girls that have been through arranged marriages and end up finding themselves dead in those arranged marriages, because sometimes we know that, things get abusive in that space where the man can either kill the girl or the girl takes her own life, right? You're doing this for so many women and young girls that might come in the future and say, oh my God, look at what she did. I can do it too. I can get out of this arranged marriage, right? And I don't have to feel this shame and this burden to be able to sit in a weird arranged marriage that I never wanted to be in the first place. Like, I am so proud of you. This makes me happy because this is something that Africans are not talking about in our society today. And this is something that we need to talk about, and for all our African parents that are listening right now, if you are listening to this show, right, your daughters do not want to be put in arranged marriages. I don't care how much you guys think is going to support you guys financially. I don't care the type of status you think that it's going to bring to your family. We don't want to be put in arranged marriages, at least not in 2025. We can find our own way. We can find love for ourselves, right? And if we don't find massa or love or anything, it's okay, African parents. You know what I'm saying? I think also there's this like big taboo or this like stigma that like when your daughter gets to a certain age, they have to be married, right? Like, did you feel like that was part of the case? Like, you feel like your parents had to push you to get married?
Yes, at some point in time, they feel like, okay, so first you hit the age of 18 or even lesser than that, you have to get married. Or maybe you can get older and older without getting married. That be a problem for them. So yes, I think it has to do with that. But one thing too that you have to also think is that if you are not ready to get married, just don't get married. It's better for you to be ready to get into it than to just get into it, then end up getting divorced, end up being frustrated, end up of having mental illness or anything, or just end up being depressed. It's not a fun thing to do at all. So just allow your children, allow them, listen to them, encourage them each and every single time, even though it's not that easy, but just listen to them. At the end of the day, it's their future. You have to listen to them. You brought them into this world. You love them more than any other person will ever do. So just listen to them.
Amen to that one, girl. Amen. Because I'm telling you, because if somebody forced me to say, hey, Lira, go and get married, heaven is coming down. I'm not, it would not happen. I'm telling you, you are brave because you're stronger than I was. Oh, I am, because heaven would have come down. Even Jesus Christ himself would have come down on this planet because I'm telling you, it's not gonna happen. Look, I'm getting all anxious right now because I see this happening all the time in our community. You know, I see it happening all the time. I see girls that are 12 years old, 10 years old, 13, you know, that are getting married. And it's like, what, why? Why do we feel like we need to rush our daughters, you know? And honestly, when a girl goes into school and get educated, she has more value these days, African parents. I know that in the past, they indoctrinate us to think that if a girl goes to school and have all of this knowledge, right, no man will want her. But African parents, in today's society, you want your daughter to be intelligent. You want your daughter to be comfortable. You want your daughter to be able to speak for themselves, to be able to, you know, make money for themselves, or at least know how to work for themselves, right? You want your daughter to be independent. You know, we don't want you to be relying on men anymore. Your daughter should not have to rely on a man to fund her, you know, her life, right? You want her to be able to say, okay, if I want to go buy, I don't know, gari for myself, right? I can go and buy gari and buy sugar, you know, and not have to feel as if a man have to do it for you all the time. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you so much. That's all I could say. Thank you, because this is something that we need to talk about. You know, any final words for those that are listening to this conversation? And also, like, I know there's some of my audience that are in America, so they're going to be getting this side of the story for the maybe for the first time as well.
One last thing that I have to share is that no matter what happens, the girl child has a lot of things, just as the man would do, just as the boy child would do. Let's treat them equally. Let's not see that, okay, so far as you're a woman, you belong to the kitchen. You have to sit down, you have to listen to your man. No matter what happens, I am a human as well. I also have to stand in for myself no matter what happens. And I also have like future dreams and aspirations, a lot of things I want to achieve, just exactly that the male one would want to achieve as well. So just listen to us, support us. Don't say that, okay, at the end of the day, you just belong to a marriage and that's the end of the world. No, that isn't the end of the world. We have a lot of things to achieve. We have to encourage each other. We have to stand in for each other, as well as like men. We have to empower each other, no matter how it is, because we are doing this together and we are not going to let go. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much again for those powerful words. Thank you for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. You know, thank you for sharing your story. I hope that we're going to have you come back on Self Reflection Podcast, and I wish you the best on your journey. And one day, I hope you become the best lawyer in Africa, where you are going to go after every old man that is coming there to marry a young girl, you know, and we will put them in some type of encampment so that they can get some mental health support, because that is sick. African parents and men, you know, like, don't, please, forced marriage, arranged marriage, like, it's not in this today's society. We are too far ahead. We have artificial intelligence, you know, doing things for us, and we're still trying to live in I don't know, the 1800s in Africa. Like, you know, when it comes onto this space. So please, young girls, believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, believe in the goals that you have for yourself. Know that you don't need like you need a man, but you don't need a man, if that makes sense, right? You need a man when it comes down to, if you want a man to have a family, you need them in that space, but you don't need a man to survive in this world. You know, when it comes down to like the everyday life, you can go to school, you can get a job for yourself, right? You can build a life for yourself as well. And you should also want to have goals for yourself, have things that you want to do for yourself, because you are human as well, right? You want to feel fulfilled living in this world. You know, you just don't want to be somebody's house pet when, you know, they go to work and come back, you're home, you're in the kitchen, you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're taking care of the babies, right? Over and over. Like, you just don't want to do that unless that's the type of lifestyle you want. It's you, but you have goals for yourself. Remember, every single young girl out there, remember your own goals. Remember what, you know, divine purpose God put in you to come to this world to do, right? Because you are here for a reason. You are here for a purpose, you know. Again, thank you so much, my sister, for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. It was a pleasure talking to you, you know, and I hope that your message is going to find somebody that needed the motivation.
Thank you very much, Leah, for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation that we had, and I hope one way or the other, at least to inspire one person to actually stand in for themselves, telling the world that it is enough, enough is enough. We have to fight in for ourselves. We have our goals that we want to achieve. Thank you so much for having me as well, and I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You know, it was a pleasure having you. Amazing conversation. And I cannot wait to see your journey keep going forward. I cannot wait to see where you take your journey. Like I said, you inspired me today. And, you know, when I first reached out to you to have this conversation, I just felt your energy. I didn't really know what you have truly been through. And then when I learned a little bit more about your story, I was like, whoa, maybe that's why I felt the energy from you and I wanted to talk to you. So thank you so much for accepting to be on here and for accepting to share your journey, you know, with us. I appreciate it so much, and continue to inspire all of us, you know, because you don't touch me today. I beg, I'm serious. So thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. I hope and I pray that, you know, you guys enjoyed this conversation and you guys found great value in this conversation. And if you know someone that is being pushed to get in a marriage, right, please reach out to them, because it's not an easy thing. A lot of young women do struggle with their mental health in this space, right? So if you know someone that is in a forced marriage or an arranged marriage, reach out to them, be a support system to them, you know, because I'm sure that there's a little part where they're going through something that they're not sharing with you, right? And for all the women that, or all the young girls, I would even say, right, all the young girls that are in forced marriages, I want to empower and encourage you in this moment. I want to remind you to know that you are strong, you are brave, you know, you are enough. And if you do not want to be in that space, you have every single right to get out of that toxic environment, right? Remind yourself that you are human and you have a purpose to be here in this world. You have a life for yourself. You have goals that you want to achieve for yourself. And you do not have to stay in a man's house, especially if it's an arranged marriage, right? You do not have to stay there. You know, I know our tradition makes young women to think that they have to stay in these arranged marriages, but you do not have to stay in an arranged marriage. And I want to remind you that you will be okay. Thank you guys again for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. I hope that you guys find peace for your own self, every single one of you that is listening to this conversation. I hope that you find healing, you find love for self, And in this moment, if you have yet to subscribe to Self Reflection Podcast, I also want to encourage you go out and subscribe so you don't miss any other uplifting and empowering conversations like this. I hope you have a blessed day. Take care of yourself, love yourself, be kind, and be gentle with yourself. Until next time, you're listening to Self Reflection Podcast, and this is your girl Lira. Ta-da!